So when I first read The Princess's Jewels, I actually liked it. I was excited for season 2 whenever it came out, and I was invested in the plot. I come to find out that there were accusations of racism against the comic, to which I agreed but thought the author did it unintentionally, and my young, confused, naive self wrote a video script defending it. Now cut to 3 or 4 years later on me looking back on the script, the comic, the accusations, and being even more confused. Now there's predator accusations being made towards the author? Season 2 is still coming? Just what happened while I was gone? So now I'm revamping the script I forgot about the second I wrote it. I'm putting this comic on trial. We're going to look at the cases of the author and the comic itself separately and decide a verdict. The author will be determined either guilty or innocent, because I'm still in the Milgram chain, free my girl Moo, and the comic will be given a letter grade on how well it handled the writing, the characters, and the plot, etc. So without further ado, let the trial commence. So we're going to start off by looking at the accusations against the author, June, and the artist, Hong Cha. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Exhibit A, looking at a document where they call Hong Cha Moirato, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. They call her a PDF file, so she copies others, shit-talks them, and told the author of the document that she'll snap your wrist with a blender. I tried following their link to something on Tumblr, but no dice. A comment that on the post said that they made an OC based off of someone, and then things were done to said OC. Exhibit B, there doesn't seem to be any actual pictures floating around of these messages, it mostly just seems to be word of mouth. If these accusations are all true, all I can say is that I'm sorry to the victims, but I'm also sorry for June, the author, because the actions of the artist isn't their fault. Maybe they should consider hiring a different artist and not working with them anymore. I'm sure there's plenty of other artists who would love to do it, but I heard Webtoon cut ties with them, but there's plenty of other platforms, like maybe Tapos. But I don't think that'll be possible since I now saw a post that's saying the series would be discontinued, which, to be honest, I'm kind of bummed out by. There's some really awful choices made in the making of this comic, but I feel like it still had the potential to be better. So, final verdict, Hong Cha, I pronounce you may be guilty. There wasn't enough evidence I could dig up, but if they really did do the things people claim they did, I declare this a guilty verdict. For the author, innocent. I couldn't find much crap while talking bad about the author, so I think despite some of the choices they made in the story that were kind of problematic, at the end of the day, I don't think they did it on purpose. I made some pretty crappy stuff out of ignorance before too, and I believe they deserve a second chance. Getting into the comic now, I listened to some other videos on the Princess's Jewels, which unfortunately I hadn't been listened to a lot of slut-shaming, because God forbid a woman is comfortable with her sexuality. The way she expresses it might not be great, but come on, are we really acting like harems are something new? Male harems have been getting attention for years, and they never had to put up with what this series does. I'll give a basic rundown of the plot. If you've already read it or just don't care, you can skip over this section. So we start off with a ball and are introduced to Princess Ariana and her harem, who all seem to be head over heels for her, and there's a possibly jealous, ambiguous person in the corner. Then we're taken back to 1 year ago when we meet her dad, who adores her, her half-brother Balvilo, who is jealous of the attention which she receives. There's also a second and third prince, Haveron and Kamal. Through the ever-present crowd around them, we learn that despite being the favorite, she'll never be empress, and that she's betrothed. Ariana, however, has other plans, and after drooling over some Hot Men magazine, she straight up tells us that she wants to become empress so she can have more than one husband. Props for honesty, I guess? She determines to make a jewelry box of men that'll help her ascend to the throne. Her first target is a war hero, Duke Phantom. You may note that he's the only black member of the main cast, and the only one who's not royalty or connected to royalty. One of the others is called a commoner, but he's basically the adopted child of royalty. She presents him with this badge of honor and tells him to meet her later. Her being royalty and him being of a lower status creates some kind of icky power imbalance that I'm not really sure how to rectify. I guess if I was writing the story, I'd give him some royal ties too, so the gap isn't quite as large. She promises to protect him from the court officials, and they bang. I'm not really sure how much I like that he fell for her at first sight. I wanted a few more scenes of them together, maybe her protecting him against one of the aforementioned court officials, some reason for him to devote his all to her. She also gives him dog collar. Spoilers, it's because he's some kind of werewolf, but yet another kind of moment and a likability tally mark off the princess. I don't think the author meant any of this to be racist. I think it was just supposed to be kinky, but it ended up giving off weird vibes instead. The next The next jewel is Prince Ifrit, although he is also a fool, and a military commander. So they travel to his kingdom with a name that I do not know how to pronounce, and at first she's kind of pissed at him for his lack of manners, but then that all goes away when she sees his face. Second jewel acquired. The third jewel is collected from the Western Kingdom, Hanbak, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, called the Fairy of the Moon, And she acquires him by throwing down, because the best way to get someone to consider to join and be part of your harem is to fight them, right? She beats him, and he agrees to join her harem. Mr. Fourth is found in yet another kingdom, and he's the slick-tongued blonde boy who seems to be one of the more mischievous members. He's ordered to charm her, but finds himself charmed instead. The Ariana glazing does kind of get a bit tiring at times. Like, we get it, she's beautiful and perfect and charming, can we go now? The story was already kind of spicy, but get Ariana and Blonde Boy in a room together and it gets kinky. And last but certainly not least, heading over to the Southern Kingdom to collect our last jewel, and I need to hurry the hell up, because we're 2 pages into the script and only 1 episode on episode 8 of 50. They plan to collect Jade by having Ariana pose as a dancer and luring in Jade's lustful father, then revealing herself as a princess. It goes according to plan. They take Jade as collateral. Make note that Ariana shamed Jade's father for taking advantage of his position to bed ladies, when that's essentially the same thing she's been doing just with consent. She'd never make it near the palace without her royal status. She's out here pulling all the strings she can to acquire her jewelry box. So they get Jade, and he isn't too happy about it. He does not want to be in her box and vows to escape from it. Juan arrives from his kingdom, and Ifrit gets butthurt seeing him with the princess, especially because he's a filthy commoner. Like, he's really, really pissed. Ifrit storms off after causing a scene, and Neil scolds him. It's revealed that Ariana had a brother named Ares, but we don't know what happened to him, and probably never will, boo. And we are introduced to this series' villain, Madame Benella Verdi, the Emperor's concubine. She apparently had something to do with Ares' death. They just say he was taken away. And now we're introduced to Jade's stalker, What's-Her-Face. She becomes important later on, so keep her in your brain. Madame Verdi is importing unprocessed magical stones, and they don't have enough evidence to get her yet. Jade's stalker offers to help him get out of the jewelry box, but he declines. The king, the queen, the concubines, and Ariana and her brothers all get together for a dinner, and Verdi brings up Ariana's jewels and basically slut-shames her at the dinner table. Ariana responds with a polite version of, "You mad, bro?" We finally get confirmation that Ariana's brother, Ares, is in fact dead, and I so want to know what the end of that plotline is. I highly suggest that you check out June's Instagram, because I found a lot of interesting things in there, including the plans for the ending of the comic. Ariana's mom asks the Emperor for keys to the treasury to figure out who's been stealing from it, Verdi, and for Ariana to be the believer of light for the upcoming ceremony. So after a tense dinner, Balvilo gets smacked around by his mother for screwing up, and Ariana's mom patches him up. Ariana's fiancé, Duke Krytier, sends a letter, as does the current princess of Ifrit's kingdom, asking to meet with her. And what do you know? The prince is actually dressed on the larger size man. How awful. I do pity Ariana. An arranged marriage is an awful thing, but I don't agree with judging him based off of his looks. Her fiancé resolves to lose some weight, and Ariana is cooped up for a week for leaving the banquet surrounded by her jewels. Skipping ahead past some political nonsense, at the sun ceremony, Balvilo slays, and Juan's adopted brother, I think, shows up hoping to become a jewel. Jade chases after his stalker, bad decision, and Verdi releases a bunch of monsters in the crowd. And no one notices or questions why she's laughing during this whole matter. Fighting happens, everybody's cool, blah blah blah. Jade gets kidnapped by a stalker, and SA happens. I think there's a way to make Ariana look like less of an asshole in this scenario. Instead of targeting Jade and taking him out of his home by force, it could have been that his family forcefully sent him, and turning him down would be rude or something, and that's how he became part of the harem. The concept just needed a bit of workshopping, that's all. I get what they were going for, but it kind of just fell flat on its face. Jade gets sent back home to recuperate, and Ariana speaks to the crown princess of Ifrit's kingdom, and who promises to be one of her supporters. Ifrit's right-hand man meets one of Ariana's ladies-in-waiting, Marina, and the two sort of form something. They're cute, I really wish we could have seen more of them. Ifrit spreads rumors about Juan, and Ariana's fiancé, Duke Krytier, first seeks to improve himself. Back with Jade, he finds himself needing the princess's help as the rosehip drug is spreading across his kingdom. Duke Krytier makes his grand re-entrance, and he's hot now? Ariana still doesn't like him, but he's hot now, so... And last but not least, the Emperor gets poisoned by Verdi. End of season! So, what did we think? Let's start off with the characters. First, the princess. She has a lot of problems, as listed above, but I feel there is potential for more development. Right now, she doesn't have a lot to her character, other than liking hot men and wanting the crown, so I'd be interested in finding out more facets of her personality. For her, maybe a C grade. For Neil, maybe a B or even an A. The way he wasn't handled might not have been the best, but he was one of the jewels that I liked the most. Ifrit, he's mostly a plot device to create drama with the jewels, D grade. Juan, he has some interesting facets to his character regarding his backstory, so I'll give him a B grade. Blonde boy, he's here to be mischievous, kinky, and a bisexual stereotype, C grade. Jade is maybe a C or a D. He wasn't handled very well, but as a character, I'm fine with him. About the story, it had some really interesting things going on, a lot of drama, and I love drama, and the plot lines I really wanted to see tied up, and it kept me engaged throughout. For that, I'll give it a B. And a lot of my opinions on this are, could be better, but it was okay. This series was kind of problematic in a few areas, but I feel like there really was hope for it to be something way better and maybe even great, even. But it kind of fell flat. I feel like it could be rectified by a really, really good season 2, but alas, we'll probably never get one. So, yep, this is where I tune out. Later!